Everybody for tuning in to Coder Conversations. On today's show, we have Susie Hackel, professional voice actor, and I'm here with my co-host Brian.
I'm Brian Russick, professional drummer, drum teacher based out of the Suffolk County region of Long Island. I could be found
Huh.
on the web at brianrussick.com.
Welcome to the show, Susie.
Great. I'm from Long Island originally.
Oh, you are? Okay.
hmm Yeah.
Up in Bridgeport, Connecticut, so right across the water.
Yep, and I'm not far from you up in New Milford, Connecticut.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, to get this show started, we usually like to ask our guests a little bit about their background. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into professional voice acting?
Sure. Since I've been a little kid, I've always liked to do voices. I was known about that in high school. And somewhere in the 90s, I had a friend whose uncle was a professional voice actor, and I took a class with him, and believe it or not, made a demo on a cassette.
Wow.
And back then, in order to break through the voiceover industry, you had to get a whole bunch of cassettes printed and mail them out, and that was just too daunting for the young person I was, and I just kind of let it go. But I've always liked it. I'd like to do acting, stage acting, musicals, plays. I got very active in that about 17 years ago. Anyway, I was a reading teacher and literacy in elementary. And around COVID, somebody's marketing email came my way about voiceover and a boot camp and taking a class. It was called the Great Voice Company. And it just seemed very appealing, and I decided to do it. Really, a total beginner. Looking back from what I've learned about Susan Berkeley's Great Voice Company, probably was the best place for me to start, but I moved on kind of. I've learned about other organizations as well, but it was a great place to start when you were a rank beginner and you didn't even know, I didn't even know what a recording software was or mic. And she basically went through the things that you need and about the industry and about marketing and she recommended gear. So I basically got a Blue Yeti microphone and Audacity for free, and I was terrified. I didn't open the box for my microphone for a month, and I was afraid to hook it up. And by the time I downloaded Audacity, I was clueless. I had to invite a friend of mine to help me figure out what it was. It was all very, very scary. But went through her program. I became a private client of hers. I took a lot of classes. And one of the classes was to set up your LinkedIn account and how to do that. One of the classes was audiobook. One of the classes was how to do some marketing. And then the best one was how to set up a Fiverr account. Fiverr is a freelance site, but it's often looked down upon in the professional voiceover industry because they don't pay the rates, whatever. But I have
Right.
to tell you, that's how I started my career. I wanted to be a children's audiobook narrator, and I hit it right running right at the very beginning with my Blue Yeti microphone, and I had this Indian lady had me do all these children's stories. Some of them were chapter books. They were really hard because of the sounds that Indians had to make, the placement of the consonants and vowels. It was really hard, but that's how I started my career. So I'm sure I wasn't paid what I should be paid, but I had a lot of experience learning how to use the software, learning how to use the microphone, learning editing, and all of that stuff. It was sort of like just diving right in, and it's been about 3 years, and I'm finally learning moving my way around. I've gotten some audiobooks. I've gotten some video games. They're like really small time things, but they're jobs. And I have a business bank account, and I'm spending a lot more than I'm making. It's a very expensive career by the time you get the coaching and the equipment and the website and all the classes that you join and all the fees for the different organizations, it becomes very expensive, and the demos become expensive. So I stopped, put a hiatus on spending, and now I'm making a little bit of money. And when I start making enough that I feel that I've covered all those expenses, because over $10,000 worth of expenses.
Oh,
And
wow.
when I start feeling that I'm making some money, then I'm going to enjoy this retirement gig. Right now, the reason why I wanted to do it, besides the fact that I love it, I love narrating, I love acting and things like that, was I thought it would be a great way to supplement my retirement income. And it has, but I haven't spent one dime of it. Not a dime. It all goes in. Nothing's coming out yet. I have a little business bank account, and everything that I've made so far goes into that bank account. And because it's just retirement extra money, I don't need it, but I would love to eventually spend it on something special.
Sure.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I think the key, like you mentioned, is just getting started. You didn't have
Oh,
like the most high end equipment.
yeah, and the right connections are so important. And like any new thing, whether it's music or whatever, you learn who the players are. You get tuned in through the different organizations and the different Facebook groups and the different classes that you take. And eventually you start learning who is who in the field, who are the players. And you start really learning that way. And the connections are extremely valuable for your learning process. So I've been very grateful, and I made a lot of mistakes. I spent a lot of money that I shouldn't have spent with, making bad decisions with coaches, bad decisions with demos. I'm still not where I want to be. I need to find a publisher for audiobooks. I need to get a better agent. But I'm doing a lot of the what you call the pay to play sites where you just audition, 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 and once in a while something will come through. And it's really exciting when it does, but it's also very discouraging because you're in competition with so many people. Sometimes
Yeah.
it was the perfect audition. You think it's so perfect. How could they not like it? How could they possibly not like it? And you have to be
Yeah.
really, really good at dealing with that because, most of the time I go, oh, well, but sometimes it really does bother you if it was something that, was the voice that you have or the character voice. So,
Yeah. I mean, my sister used to act and do extra work and stand in and all that kind of stuff. And she, at a certain point, she stopped doing it because of all the rejections. She just couldn't handle it anymore.
yes, and they say you're not rejected, you just weren't chosen. Well, to me, it means when you don't get a thumbs up, if I get a thumbs up, I'm okay. If I don't get the job, I'm okay if they've shortlisted me because that means I know I've done something right and I'm learning. But
Yeah.
when I don't get, if I do something really wonderful and there's no like shortlist, I go, sometimes I say also some not nice things when I see that there's no thumbs up next to it.
Yeah.
And then I have an agent, but it's not the kind of agent that I should have. It's they don't curate their auditions. They send it out to everybody, whether you're right for it or not. And I have been with them a year and I've never gotten one job through them. So I have to start looking. But people say agent work is only about 10% of it.
Okay.
A lot of it is direct marketing. And I joined a group just for that. It's a 6-month group to help with direct market. But this is the funny thing. And I keep, shaking my head when I say this. It's not realistic right now for me to do direct marketing because I'm working. I'm very busy. So, and I want to do this part time. So, I mean, I could spend 8 hours a day trying to look up, connections and LinkedIn and all that. But I have 2 projects going on right now at the same time, plus auditions. And I have my priority is to do the work that I actually have, which leaves little
Sure.
time, which leaves little time for like marketing. But when these jobs are over and I have a lull, that's when I'm going to practice some of my direct marketing skills. And that's the hardest thing to learn how to do. But I know the lady who's coaching me, that's the majority of her work, repeat clients, and she has a method and I have to learn it. But the auditions get very tiring because it's not always successful. And, it's a hustle. So if people ask me, well, what to be successful in it, it's the connections you make. Obviously, you have to have the right equipment and, right coaching, but, it's really a hustle. You just, if you want to work, you really have to put yourself out there and constantly be seeking and looking for opportunities.
Right.
Yeah, so you mentioned you made a few mistakes. You spent a lot of money where you shouldn't have. If you were
Yes.
able to do things over again, like what would you do different?
Oh, that's such a good question. Um, Probably not have gotten the demos when I got them, learned about who's who in the coaching, maybe made a bigger investment at the beginning rather than trying to save money and be willing to bite the bullet and spend the big bucks and have it done right. But I didn't know that. I was trying to get it done. I picked this person and that person, and the mistakes that I made were um, maybe I wasn't good enough for the commercial. So you need a commercial demo if you're going to get an agent. And I also have an animation demo. It hasn't gotten me very far in it, but you need a commercial demo in order to get any headway with the career. Even if you do animation, even if you do audiobooks, even if they want the commercial demo. So the big mistake that I made is I had it done by the first company I worked with. And then a couple of years after that, I realized it wasn't very good. So there was a special that was being run by an organization called Edge Studio. They're fantastic, and they were running a half-price special. So I said, "Yay! I'm gonna get a new demo made." But I wasn't sure if I wanted to get a new commercial demo or just something else. And they said, you can get a new commercial demo, and we're going to work with you. I said, "Well, I want to know if the one that I have is okay or not." They said, "Well, we're going to charge you to evaluate it." I said, "Forget it. I'm not going to pay to have a yes or no answer." So I was recommended by somebody in the field, and the advice that I got from this person was the wrong advice. She said, "You've got a great character voices. You want to stand out on your commercial demo, add some character voices." Well, wrong. So I spent my $600 to get the demo with 3 regular voices and 3 character voices. 3 agent workshops after that. Nobody do any character voices on your commercial demo. So I was in a spot. I had to spend all that money, and I had 3 spots with my regular voice and 3 spots. One was a child voice, one was an old lady voice, and one was a southern accent. That had to go. So I was in a real bad position. And I asked the guy who did my animation demo. I should have gone back to that company. That's what I should have done. That was the first mistake. Say, "Hey, can you do this for free? You did something wrong. Can you fix it?" But I went to the person who did my animation demo, who was the specialist on character voices, to see what he could do. He offered me a discount to redo 3 spots. Okay, so now I have this new commercial demo. I got it evaluated by somebody who was the top person in the field. It wasn't good.
Hey, Susie, don't mean to interrupt you. For some reason, your audio is coming through like really staticky sounding. We can't. We were able to hear you good at first, but now we can't really hear you.
What should I do? Back in?
Can you hear her clearly now, Brian?
No.
Okay.
Take it back in. Go back and come back in.
It's choppy. Yeah, it's very choppy.
Let me get in the car and drive a little bit. Stop.
I'd say maybe try rejoining, see if that helps.
I try rejoining.
Yeah, I'd say close it out, load it back up, just check on that.
But yeah, okay. In the meanwhile, yeah, voice acting seems really interesting. I liked how she mentioned she went to the boot camp, spent a lot of money on coaches, and not all the money was spent in a good way. It's kind of like coding, like if you're not careful, if you're not getting the right boot camp or the right coaching, you're just throwing money down the drain.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like me with the programming. I went to a school to learn Java full stack, so like Java Spring. And when I got out of the boot camp, no one was hiring entry level for Java anything. So I just felt like, I don't want to say cheated, but I felt misled a bit. I thought, okay, I'm gonna graduate this boot camp. I'm gonna have a job lined up, and that just never happened. I had to go out and learn.
How's that? Is that better?
Oh, it sounds way
Yes,
better.
there
Is
you
that
are.
better?
Yep, way
Yes.
better.
Okay, good. Okay, so anyway, so here I had this expensive demo that I made that was analyzed, and he said it was not good. So I started with another coach, and I spent a lot of money for coaching to improve my ability, my performance. And I got that one made. I spent a lot of money on it, and again, somebody said they didn't like it. So it's really, really very hard to put it this
That
way.
sounds frustrating. Yeah.
It's very frustrating, but you know what? I have other people who listened to it. They said it's okay, and the person who critiqued it said, for a very small fee, he's going to replace one of the spots to make it a little bit more marketable. So I'm going to be doing that next Friday. But
Okay.
It's not that bad. But the thing is, they say you should not be getting a demo made by yourself. It needs to be made professionally. And if it's not made professionally, the professionals know it. They can hear it.
I see.
So, for the audience who's not really aware about voice acting, what exactly is a demo, and what is its purpose in like
A
getting voice
demo
acting?
is like a resume of your voice. So it's like, for example, on a good commercial demo, you should have like a kind of like to have a luxury read. You can have an upbeat read. You have something that maybe is a little bit funny, a little humorous, something that's very warm and engaging and heartfelt. Save the animals or something that's like in a different, like a specific industry, like banking. Because I'm an older person, I tried to be sure that my spots weren't like for young people. So it's kind of like, this is who I am. This is what I represent in the industry. This is my voice. This is all the range that I had from, soft voice or, loud and fast, different styles that show your range. That's what a good demo would be. And it's professionally produced with music and sound effects and all that. So it sounds like real commercials.
Right. So then what is your favorite voice to do, or what do you feel like you're best at doing voice
What
wise?
am I best at doing is such a good question. You have no idea how difficult animation is, but obviously I love it, and I've had several coaching sessions, and I tell myself, I can do this. But again, it's very, very competitive. But what I'm doing now,
So we're talking like Lion King, that kind of stuff.
yeah, but I'm doing some children's stories right now, and I'm having a ball.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. All these different characters that I can come up with, and different character voices, and an old person and an animal and young kid voices. It uses all of it, and I'm really enjoying the books that have all the different characters.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds fun.
Yeah, it is. I like doing the different characters. I like doing the acting. Would I like to get a commercial that's a lot of money? Of course I would. But the real joy for me is doing and I enjoy where it involves acting and changing the tone of my voice. Like I'm sitting in my room by myself. Well, all these different people, like my neighbors go, "Who's in the room with me?" Because they hear all these different voices talking at the same time. And I get a kick out of it. A man's voice and a woman's voice, and they're all in the
That's
room
funny.
talking. And I really do get a kick out of that.
For me, as a kid, I was introduced to it through seeing that. You ever see the movie Mrs. Doubtfire?
Yes, yes.
So the beginning of it, he's doing the voice acting for the parrot or the bird or whatever it is, and then he gets thrown out because he's not doing the proper copy or whatever they gave him to read.
Right.
He's like joking around, and they're like, look, read it how it is, or stop wasting our time. But so as a kid, seeing that, I remember seeing that in the theater. I was really young. I said to myself, "Oh wow, that's a job. That looks like a pretty cool job."
It is. And it's a great thing to do. If you want to do it full time, it's a lot harder to get the work. You have to work double, triple hard than I'm working to get to start
Yeah.
doing it full time. But because I have, my retirement income, my pension, whatever, all this is extra money is it's just fun. And it also it makes you feel good because you're entering, actually you're like retraining for a new career. There's so much to learn between the technology and the business itself, the business end of it, and editing and performance and all the terminology. It was really like going back to school. So anybody who's interested in doing this, there's a lot to learn. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to buy a microphone and I'm going to start recording." Good luck. It's
Yeah.
very
I'm gonna
competitive.
be Simba. I'm gonna be Simba from The Lion King in a month.
So yeah, like okay, so say you buy the microphone, you're just trying to break into the industry, you got Audacity. Where should they go from there? Like how should they actually prepare themselves to actually get work?
What I would do, I would Google the voiceover coaches. I would try to get the best rated coaches, voiceover coaches. Find somebody something like Edge Studio, which will teach you how to do everything. The Greater Voiceover Actors Academy, GVAA. Join those programs. Gravy for the Brain. Find a program that's going to teach you everything and has coaching sessions and coaches available. So find an all-inclusive organization to start with. The Great Voice Company, somebody that gives you classes, that gives you coaching opportunities, that has videos to watch, that has a support system. And if you need a private coach, they will recommend one. I would start that way, with a really good, like it's like going back to school, but you want a really good organization where they really are, they know the industry and they can really help you get started and give you the support that you needed.
Yeah, it sounds
And
like something that's
yeah,
comprehensive. You're looking for something that's comprehensive, right?
it's very, yes. That's what I would recommend. Getting a comprehensive thing and then also knowing, like they all tell you, there's a lot of work and learning that goes into it, and you're not going to start maybe making money right away, but you need to
Yeah.
know about all the different genres and the different the ways of getting jobs, and what are some of the different types of voiceover, what are some of the demands of those. As I said, the more connected you get, the better it is for you. And here's a perfect example. I don't know how much time we have, but perfect to share. I did an audition. There's a pay to play sites. There's Voices123, Voices.com, Bodalgo. There's a lot of them, and they're expensive. And I joined Voices.com and I audition constantly. Well, I lucked out this week because I did a good audition. It was a very well paying commercial. I got a thumbs up. I got shortlisted, which I was just thrilled with. And I just figured, okay, I always get shortlisted, but I never get the job. Well, I got a message from them. They loved my audition. It was perfect, but they're not ready to go full out with the commercial, the TV commercial yet. Would I be willing to have them use my audition in their planning sessions while they're working on the filming? Okay, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to answer that one.
Yeah.
Well, because I have the connections, I have a chat group that I belong to that has some of the heavy hitters in the industry, some of the really well-known people in the industry. Just so happen to have a chat group with that group. And then I belong to Gravy for the Brain. I pay for that, and they have a mentorship board, like
Ah, okay.
oh, I got on immediately, and I said, "What do I do? What do I say? Do I just
Yeah,
give them
what do I
permission to
do?
use this?
What do
Are
I
they going to?"
do?
So I got the advice that I needed, and they said, say thank you very much. I'd love to work with you, but would you be willing to accept like a $200 like a demo fee, and then apply that towards the final job if I get the job? And that's what they told me to say, and I did. And I got it. I got $200. I'm going to be getting $200 for this wonderful audition, but the job itself is a lot
Yeah.
more money. Now, if I don't get
Yeah.
the actual job, I can pat myself on the back and say, you know what? Not only did you get a short list, but they loved your audition and you got a little bit of money for it.
Yeah, I mean, you're going through all the right steps. You're going through the process. You're doing what your
Yes,
mentors have kind
yes.
of taught you to do. So it kind of, to me, it sounds like you're firing on all cylinders right now. You're really,
Yeah, and
you're
it's
doing it.
exhausting. I know I have a little bit of static here, but making those connections is so important. Making the good connections because you know the people and they're very generous with their information. And I said, I mean, sure, I'll go ahead, use my voice for free. It just didn't feel right. I didn't know what the professional people would do in a situation like that. And
Right.
and I needed the advice before I wrote her back, before I wrote the client back. I needed to know what to say. So I immediately reached out and I got the advice that I needed from, people who were in the industry. And so getting those connections, getting into a really good program where you build your connections, you also get an accountability partner or a group, people just like you who are learning together is very helpful. Somebody like a group where you can say, oh, I did this, I did something really good this week, or I ran into this problem or that problem. So being connected is really important as opposed to just trying to do this all by yourself.
Just trying to wing it right out the
Yeah.
gate. Yeah.
No, I just say for the people who want to do that, good luck. Maybe you'll be so talented that you won't have to do the
Maybe.
work. Never, but
You skipped the line, right?
but I am enjoying it, and I have to give myself some leeway because I did work really hard in my job, and sometimes they say, stop working so hard, you're retired. So like after I do these recordings that I'm doing for these children's books, I think I'm going to take a breather. It's summer, it's getting to be warm weather, and just maybe even decide not to audition for a week, just let it go. And there's an expression that somebody told me, FOMO, FOMO. I said, what does FOMO mean? Fear of missing out.
Right.
Don't have a fear of missing out. Damn it, I missed all these auditions this week. You know why? Because next week there'll be a whole bunch of new ones.
Right.
Oh, wow, that's great advice.
It was really good advice. Don't have the fear of missing out because you need to be kind to yourself. You need to give yourself some breaks. As I said, I'm not doing this to support a family. I'm not doing it full time. But if you're interested to do it full time, know that it's going to take a number of years and a lot of work and a big, huge investment in the right classes and courses and
And I'm
connections.
sure a bit of luck to go along with that.
There is luck. It's these auditions that I do with my character voices that I think are like, I do old lady voices, I do, funny voices, witch voices. It's a roll of the dice because sometimes I'll get it, sometimes I won't. This past month, I got 2 old lady video games.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
2 with my old lady voice. So it's a roll, but I've done hundreds of auditions.
Can you demo us the
Oh,
old
just
lady
like
voice?
a little old lady voice. I had to do one with a British accent. That was a live recorded session. So I learned, and I spent a lot of money on an accents class. So yeah, I do that voice. And as I said, it's rolling the dice because sometimes it sounds exactly like what they want, and sometimes they don't even listen to the audition. That's how competitive it is. So
Yeah.
but it's luck that they're going to like that the person that is listening to is going to like your voice. Same with audiobooks. I'm learning a lot. I started listening to audiobooks now that I never used to do before, and I'm listening to some really good ones, and I am learning so much just by listening to them.
Yeah.
So what are some of the lessons you're learning in the audiobook space?
Oh my gosh. Um, okay, the like how do I explain? They make it so real. The narration, the transition between the different voices, the way if it's a really good book, um, it just brings you right in. It's so much more than just reading the words. and a lot of the ones that I like have this vocal quality to them that's very pleasant to listen to.
Right.
It is acting, but it's, also there's a lot of narration that goes with it. Even when you're narrating, even you're doing the description of what the beach looks like, for example, and you're not having dialogue, even that has to pull you in and be engaging. And I'm learning. I've done several audiobooks and things like that, but those are, when you listen to a really good one, I just shake my head and go, wow, now I know. Now I understand.
Yeah. No,
I
I
see
get
what they're
that.
doing. What are they doing? Why am I enjoying this so much? It's because they're that good. And so the
Yeah.
more you listen to the good quality voices, the more you learn about what you like that you hear.
Now let me ask you, did you ever do just, standard regular acting and auditions, or
Yes.
you
Oh no, that's
you
what I
did?
do. I'm
Okay,
I'm
you
sitting
did.
here in the parking lot from a rehearsal that I'm coming out of.
Oh, okay, wow.
So I do a lot of local theater. I've been doing theater for a really long time, since college, but I was sort of like on and off and on and off and on and off. But I've
Oh,
started doing theater
wow.
in my area for about 17 years. I've been in shows, and I do musicals
Oh,
and plays
wow.
now. I used to start off doing just musicals. Now I like doing the plays too. And I'm just coming out
Congrats.
of a rehearsal, and I'm sitting in the parking lot, before driving, just so I could do this with you. And but between the voiceover and the theater, it's sort of, I found my this is who I am.
Yeah. Like, I have an aunt who recently retired. I think she was a choir director at a college,
Hmm.
some kinda like Catholic school. So she was doing that for years, but now that she's retired, she says she plays a lot more guitar, she's picking up piano. She's really enjoying her time away from work, but I bet give it a couple of months, she'll probably feel like, "Well, I don't know if I have enough to fill my day with. I can only watch so much TV."
Well, I'm people are saying you're a little bit too busy for being retired, but I guess I've always been a high energy person. But
That's
my
awesome.
job was very, very stressful at the end. I was a teacher, and things changed a lot in my job, and I was so burnt out that I really shouldn't be working this hard right now. But it's kind of, I'm following the things that I love to do, and I don't miss the job at all.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do insurance when I was younger, so I used to work in the LA, Unified School District, and I just find that, teachers, they're so underpaid.
Mm.
They should be paid like doctors, I feel.
Yeah, it's hard. It's gotten even harder because everything changes all the time, and
And then
no sooner do you,
they let people go during summers. Have you ever heard of that? They don't
no,
pay them. They won't.
no, not in my district. Not in my district. You have
Yeah, so
two chances. You could
that's
either
how
get paid for
LA
10 months.
is.
Yeah, we could get paid 10 months or 12, and I opted for 12, so I got
Okay.
summer pay.
Okay.
Yeah, if you get paid, if you choose the 10 months, you have to be better at budgeting. And
I
I
see.
didn't I didn't want the responsibility of having to work on budgeting, so I said just pay me throughout the summer. But our
No,
district
but
has
yeah,
the
teachers,
choice.
I've always felt that way. My dad used to teach. I always felt, they're severely underpaid for the level of work they're doing. I mean, they're influencing people who will, be in careers, and they're influencing our future basically.
Right.
And shouldn't they be compensated more highly? And it's just unfortunate. Yeah, it's just an
Yeah.
unfortunate truth.
Yeah. Well, it's
So
getting worse now. Our school district in my town is cutting the budget. And it's just
Wow.
anyway. I don't know how long we have. I know it's getting a little bit staticky. How long is this session usually?
uh, typically we do an hour, but if you got to leave earlier than that, you can.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
can
I would love if you have any more questions for me, because as I said, I'm sitting here in a parking lot, and it's I try to turn off my car. So if you have any questions that you would
sure.
ask.
So yeah, you kind of mentioned like you're doing this part time. How much? And you mentioned there's like a huge gulf between doing it part time and doing it full time. Like how much different would it look if you were to do this full time?
Oh my gosh, it would be much more of a hustle. It would be many more hours of trying to get the work, sending, like, if I was doing this full time, I would be spending a big part of my day doing direct marketing. I'd be parting a big part of my day trying to send my demos to agents. Another big part of my day would be trying to get some publishers auditioning on the audiobook exchange for Audible. And then I would have work, and then I would be doing the work. Um, I would be working, I would be auditioning, I would be direct marketing. And if you do this full time, you've got a lot of work, like actual recording work. I don't want to spend 4 or 5 hours in my, by my microphone.
Right.
When I do an audiobook, I say, okay, this is what I'm willing to give you, which of course, if I get a publisher, I might not be able to do that. But, if I've done a 10-hour audiobook, that doesn't mean 10 hours of work. That's 10 hours of listening time. Maybe that 10-hour listening time is 30 or 40 hours of work.
And do you get paid on which do you get paid on?
You get paid per finished hour or royalty share, but I don't do royalty share anymore unless it's a well-known author because I make no money from doing it. It's like
Okay.
too much work. Too much work, you're giving it away. I did it at the beginning because I wanted to build up my career. I wanted to get some
Yeah.
work. I wanted to get some work under my belt. I wanted to get, like a resume. These are some of the things that I've done, but it's a lot of work. And then as far as the auditioning goes, you have to spend money to get these different pay-to-play sites. And I don't audition for everything. I only audition for the things that I think I might be able to get. And then the agent sometimes sends you an audition, and they always want it within 2 hours. This
Yeah.
is a rush job. And I said, sorry, I'm out. I'm out for the afternoon. I can't get it in. Or like
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to leave for the day, and I go, oh darn, I got to stop, turn on my computer. But that's what it would look like if you were professional and you had a couple of agents. You're at the beck and call of your agents, so you're doing a lot of auditioning through them, and then you're getting work. If you're really, really good, you're getting work and you're recording.
I mean, just the preparation sounds daunting. It sounds like you have to do so much to receive so little.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I mean, I'm relatively still a beginner. I still have, um, you know, feeling that I haven't quite arrived yet, but I know I have, done a lot of, little jobs, a lot of them. So there's something called imposter syndrome, where you feel like
Yeah.
you're just not there yet. Um, so, but so if I was doing this full time, I would really be putting a lot more effort into work and marketing and getting the work and more time recording. And I don't want to do that much recording. I like being
Yeah.
retired. I like getting up in the morning and lolling around and having my coffee and not rushing out, anywhere. And I like doing other things with my life. So it is very different. If you also want to do this full time, obviously a retired person doesn't really have to do it full time unless you don't have enough money. But I would say if this is something you like to do, I would start early and build it
Yeah.
up. Get a job, get a regular job. You have your 9 to 5 or whatever job you have, and start building your career part time and start building and building until all of a sudden you see the money coming in, and then you can quit your job.
So I always thought of, trying to break into voice acting until my sister was like, well, Brian, like a lot of these people go to college for that. And I was like, oh, I didn't really look at it
I
like
don't
that.
know if people go to college for it per se. I know you go to college for theater and acting.
Yeah.
Some schools might have voiceover programs, but it's really it's a freelance world.
Yeah.
And don't forget, I'd like to add one more thing before I go. With artificial intelligence, it's a big thing now. It is, there's a lot to learn about the industry, what's happening with the industry with artificial intelligence. A lot of companies are using the AI robots to do their narrating, and it does affect the industry. So there's a lot you have to know about that, and legally, what do these companies, they're hiring you to use your voice for artificial intelligence, and there's a lot to learn about what is acceptable with that or not. So so there's a lot to know.
Sounds like a minefield. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And then also with the animation, I learned that if you really want to make it big in animation, you got to go to California.
Yeah.
Unless
No.
you're so famous and so good that they'll let you record from home. I'm not ready to move to California. And then I was told that the industry that I'm interested in, which is the little kids, little
Yeah.
children stuff, the industry there is located in New York. So that was
Oh,
good news
interesting.
to me. But if I really want to get a film, I want to be in Moana, I want to be in Lion King. First of all, to get those jobs is so hard.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but you got to be in LA. You got to be in California for that.
Yeah.
So that's new learning. That was learning that I had. Doesn't mean it will never happen unless you're like so perfect they can never find another voice like yours, which is they'll always find somebody like yours. Most of the time, you have to realize you're going to be getting your animation work elsewhere, and there's a lot of other animation work, but they're not the big. You're not going to get the feature films.
It's not Disney, right?
So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
you
there's a lot of
mentioned
that. And video games is also something that is a completely different genre with different requirements. I took a couple of classes on that. There's a lot, put it this way, there's a lot to know in every genre. There's a lot to learn. That's why people get multiple demos. Um, my dream job is to work in children's educational technology. That's because I was a teacher, I would love to be able to do animated videos for those programs. But even that is so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, it is a hustle, but it's fun. And it's like digging for gold when you finally get work. It's like, yay, it feels so good at the beginning.
Yeah, I bet.
so yeah, you mentioned a good voice narrator that can really bring an audiobook to life. So
Oh
what
my
what would you
gosh.
what would you say like are some of the techniques that you noticed that really make someone a great voice narrator versus okay?
Well, variety, like just the dynamics, like the book I'm listening to now is over the top. I mean, this woman is got the best audiobook narrator of the year equivalent to the Oscars. Her name is Julia Whalen. I will see her and I will bow down on the floor and bow down to her. I swear to God, she is like
Yeah.
unbelievable talent, and she has all the characters have the different voices, and she has
Now,
this really.
did she do regular acting before she
I
got
don't
into the
know. I don't know.
voiceover?
I have to research her and look her up.
Oh, okay.
But I've listened to a couple of her narrations. It's incredible. But I'll tell you one more funny story before I go. Um, you get really sensitive. Your ears become very sensitive to pops and sounds and things that you don't like the way it sounds when you listen back. And you start getting very, very fussy if as a little pop or a little breath or something that you don't like. So you become very good at listening. Well, I did a chapter, and I listened back, and I don't know if you know what vocal fry is. It's like, I guess I must have been hoarse that day or something, and I did an entire chapter. And I listen back and I go, oh my God, there's got to be a way of cleaning this up. Well, I have a guy in England who's a really good what do you call it? Audio a producer, really good person for that, specialist. And I said, would you be able to listen to this? Is there anything that you can do to clean this up? Because I don't want to have to do the chapter again. It was very
Right.
long. So I sent him, and he wrote me back and he said, it's fine. It really is fine. I said, really? Because it sounds a little rough to me. He goes, no, it sounds fine. Well, a week later, I got an audiobook out, because I have this free service connected with your library. It doesn't cost you anything to get audiobooks. So I chose this one book. Guess what? The entire book, the narrator, she's a professional, had that fry sound. And it was very irritating for me to listen to. It was like a little rasp in her voice.
Yeah.
The whole book. So I learned, hey, this is a woman who got paid. She got this is with a publisher. This is a really good book. She was supposedly good that, and she had throughout the whole book had this like little bit of a rasp. And here I'm going, oh my God, I didn't like it in my chapter, but somebody obviously was able to get the job and get paid for doing it with the whole book like that.
Oh, too funny.
So that was really, I said, well, if she can do it, I guess. Other thing, if you get onto the Audible, just because a book is just not, just because it's accepted and it meets the specifications, doesn't necessarily mean it's good. And I've listened to some really bad samples that I don't like.
Yeah.
So it's personal. I've listened to some narrators. I go, really? I don't like that at all. so
So yeah, we
it is.
know you gotta head out. Would you like to leave our audience with any closing thoughts or any
Oh,
advice?
yes. Find your joy when whatever you want to do. If it's something that you think, it doesn't even have to be voiceover. Find something that you willing to really dedicate a lot of time and energy to learn and to pursue. And if it isn't voice over work, know that there's a really huge learning curve, a big financial investment that you have to be willing to do. You're going to make lots of mistakes along the way, but if you just keep working at it, building your networks, meeting all the important people, get yourself a good website, get yourself, a good brand, do all the right things, build up your LinkedIn page, do all your marketing, get all your coaching, get everything done right, and keep working at it, and eventually you'll start making money.
Awesome. And Brian, did you have any last question you want to ask?
I guess only thing I would ask is, for the entry level person, the person that's really trying to break into the industry, what's the number one tip you would give that person?
Coaching. Make sure you get the best coach. Don't
Coaching.
waste
Okay.
your money. Don't waste your money on, there's plenty of read the reviews. As I said, I recommended a couple that I think are pretty good.
Yeah.
Get into a program. Don't try to do it by yourself. There's just too much to learn. And the other thing I will say, there's a trifecta. There's 3 things that you need. Number 1, performance. And even if it sounds like a straight commercial, you have to learn how to perform. So there's performance. Second is technology. You have to really get the technology down, your soundproof booth, understanding how to use your software, how to use your mic. That's the technology. And the third thing is marketing, positioning yourself and marketing.
Marketing's huge. Yeah. Like I know for our
Finding your
podcast.
clients, knowing
Yeah.
how to reach out to clients, who to reach out, how do you reach out? That's the part that I'm, kind of learning. As I said, I don't have time to do it because I've been working. And also
Yeah.
knowing the things like, what are some of the good websites to get work? Like people put Fiverr down, yet I've got one of the best jobs. I've got a dream job now through Fiverr. A
Wow.
dream job. So people can put it down. They can poo-poo it all they want. Somebody
Right.
from England reached out to me she has all these children's short stories she wants for a charity, and it's a company that I wanted to work for so badly. I even wrote to the executive director. I wanted to work for them so badly. And actually, here's this client in England for these little children's magazines. They're donating these stories to this company. So yes, I'm working for that company. The very one that I
Wow.
wanted to work for with Fiverr.
That's amazing.
So, and then also that's how I started my career. So some people don't like it. I would say, you make up your own mind. There's positives and negatives. It doesn't cost you. Of course, you have to pay them a portion of your income, but, make sure that
if you're going to pay money for these audition sites, make sure that your samples are good, your demos are good, you've taken some lessons in performance. If not, you won't get anything.
Right. That's good advice.
Yeah, I mean, I made a mistake and I joined Voices 123 at a lower level, and they do this thing with the algorithm. The more you pay, the more you get, or whatever. And by the time I get the auditions, they're all gone, and
Yeah.
I will not do that one again. They send it in the middle of the night. I don't want to get up in the middle of the night to do auditions. So. But
Yeah. Don't
people
blame you.
like it, and there's a plenty of YouTube. Get on YouTube if you want to say, "Oh, I want to learn all about the difference between this pay-to-play site and that pay-to-play site." There's a ton of YouTube videos. If you want to find out what mic is the best mic and listen to a review of a microphone, YouTube. If you don't know how to do something or you run into a technical, glitch, YouTube. So I've done lots of things with learning with YouTube. There's so much out there to learn.
There's so much on there nowadays. Like when it first came out, there was only, like weird, funny videos, cat videos.
Right.
Now, you want to learn something to a very high degree. You could actually do that all free through YouTube.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of learning, and if there's something that the person says that you don't understand, you can put it in the comments, and they will answer you. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you meant by that.
Yeah.
Miguel's
It's
an
an amazing
absolute.
world that we live in. So, but also joining the different groups. Like I belong to a lot of Facebook groups just for voiceover. A lot of them are private, and I engage in conversations and learn in that way. And that's how I really learn, was by joining all these things, and also on LinkedIn, following the posts and connecting with the people in the industry, and then you read what they're writing, and so you really learn a lot by social media too.
The networking sounds huge.
It's huge. Well, as I said, it saved me. This whole thing with this client wanting me to use my audition for work, like, oh, gee, I don't know what to do there.
Yeah, right.
What is the protocol for that? Oh, sure, go ahead and use my audition. Maybe I'll get the job. Maybe I wouldn't. And I ended up I ended up getting a little bit of money for it. So
that's great.
Yeah. So, but those are the things. Those are the little gold mines that you finally get yourself into, and it makes it all worth it, because you say, okay, I'm doing something right. It's not all failure.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been very wonderful, but I'm going to get myself going unless you have any other questions that you'd like to ask.
No, it's an absolute pleasure having you on, and we appreciate you sharing your story.
It was definitely a pleasure. As I said, I have to pat myself on the back sometimes, because I have done a lot of learning, and sometimes my head is exploding with too much knowledge. I have to give it a break.
No, it's nice. I think you've kind of given our listeners a good idea of like, hey, if I want to get into this industry, maybe there's way more work that I need to do than I'm aware of, because that's as I'm hearing you talk, because that's that's like a childhood dream. Like I said, I watched Mrs. Doubtfire, the opening scene where he's doing the bird voice. I always thought like, oh, that'd be so cool to do animation, but hearing you say, okay, you got to do X, you got to do Y, you got to do Z, and you got to do all this other stuff over here too.
But it's well worth it. In a couple of years, you could be doing it if you're really good.
Yeah. So I don't know. It sounds like, I guess at this moment, it sounds like too much work, but it does sound fun.
It's a huge financial investment.
It
really
does sound fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, and I'm right now, I say I get bombarded every single day. Take this class, $59, $129, $400. And I just put my foot down. No, I don't care what it is. No, I'm not buying it right now. I'm going to recoup some money, and then maybe I'll take a class or something if it's really, really worthwhile.
I think you got the right approach and outlook on all of this, and we really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Okay, it's been fun.
Anytime you want to come back and share more of your stories and knowledge, feel free, and we'd love to have you back.
Thank you so much. Bye. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Thank you, everybody.